The Deliverance is absolutely amazing. I loved every second of this film. This was released in 2024. It's directed by Lee Daniels. It's written by David Coggeshall and Elijah Bynum, and I apologise if I mispronounced any of those names. And we have a cast including Andra, Glenn Close, Caleb McLaughlin, Demi Singleton, and various others. And it's about a mother, Ebony, who moves into this house with her mother and her 3 children. And she's not the best mother. She's got a problem with alcohol, and CPS are involved. And that in itself, for me, was an interesting premise. And then we have the horror aspect, and things begin to happen around the house. It starts off very early on, but very slowly. We have flies buzzing around, which just makes me feel sick. The flies, I hate them. And that just was really gross, and it made me feel on edge pretty much from the very beginning. And then as things begin to progress, things get more and more disturbing. And some of the people in the house start acting in very scary ways, very dangerous ways. And initially it seems like Ebony is hurting her children. Is she? Or is there a supernatural force there? And I'm not going to give anything else away, but it was a very, very well-written narrative, very suspenseful. There's a lot of emotion in this as well. Of course, we have a mother who seems to be seeing things happening in her house, things happening to her children. And of course, CPS is saying, well, you're doing this to your children. Because understandably, CPS aren't going to say, well, actually, your child got hurt because of a supernatural presence. So I can understand. But there's a lot of emotion in this. The characters are obviously feeling a lot of frustration. And we have some really brilliant relationships unfolding, or they unfold for us as the viewer, particularly between Ebony and Alberta, her mother. I found that to be a really interesting dynamic, and I really thoroughly enjoyed getting to know that relationship more. And obviously as the film progresses, the horror aspect gets more and more intense. And I'd say there were maybe 3-4 moments that were genuinely terrifying. The rest of it is more, I'd say, creepy rather than horrendously scary and terrifying. But certainly there's always, for the most part, there's always this element of suspense, always knowing that there's something about to happen, but never quite sure what it is, because there is a bit of variety in what happens and who it affects as well, which I thought was quite interesting. I have no complaints. I thought The Deliverance was a brilliant concept, very, very well executed, a fabulous story, and with incredibly well-written characters, some of the strongest character writing I've ever seen. So believable, so realistic. The characters are very much driven by a whole range of emotions, and it's an absolute joy to watch. It's a scary film, but it's very thought-provoking. It's very meaningful. I think that there are a lot of great moments in this film, and I can't fault it. The Deliverance was absolutely fantastic. And if it sounds like something that might appeal to you, then without question, I'd say it's worth watching. It is based on or inspired by the Ammon's haunting case, which is not something I knew very much about. That part of it, I wasn't too bothered about. I wasn't looking for a film inspired by a true situation, but I know that a lot of people do gravitate towards those films, and they like to see how they're represented in fiction and read about the true supernatural story. So if that appeals to you as well, that's something extra that the film can provide. But for me, I was there for the incredible story, the brilliant character writing, the performances to go with that, and some really great horror elements. The Deliverance is a fantastic film, and without question, I am very, very happy to recommend it.